Welcome to Requesting a Staff Exclusion List Check via Web Form training provided by New York State Justice Center for the Protection of People with Special Needs. During this presentation, I will outline the steps an authorized person will need to take in order to request a staff exclusion list check via the web form. This web form enables providers to submit a request online to check a job applicant's name against the Justice Center's staff exclusion list, which will also be referenced as the SEL. This presentation will also explain the process to complete the web form, including a description of the screens you will see and the specific data fields that must be populated. To access the web form, you will need to navigate to the Justice Center website at www.justicecenter.ny.gov. You can access this site by clicking on one of your web browsers, which can include, for example, Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. Once you have navigated to the Justice Center's website, you will want to locate the Pre-Employment Checks tab. Once you located the Pre-Employment Checks tab, click on the Staff Exclusion List, SEL, Management and Forms link. On the Staff Exclusion List, Management and Forms link, you will find a lot of information related to the SEL, including other forms that need to be signed or the web form itself. Once you've accessed the web form by clicking on the Request for Staff Exclusion List Check Web Form online request link, you will notice that it consists of a number of screens. I will be walking you through the steps of navigating each of these screens and completing the required fields. This is the first page you'll access once you've clicked on the Request for Staff Exclusion List Check Web Form link. There are a number of chevrons at the top of the page. Each chevron indicates where you are within the web form. For example, you have a sign-in page, a Select Provider page, an Applicant Information page, a Review Submission page, and a Confirmation page. The shaded in chevron in blue indicates where you are throughout the process. As you can see now, we are currently on the sign-in page. Prior to taking any further action, be sure to carefully read all the instructions. Provider's authorized person must submit this online form to the Justice Center's Criminal Background Check, or CBC unit, for an applicant who is under serious consideration to be hired or otherwise permitted to have regular, substantial contact with service recipients. So again, this check is for applicants who are under serious consideration, not for every applicant that has submitted a potential resume. In order to submit this online request, the applicant's Social Security number or alien registration number must be included. If you don't have either number, you must submit the SEL check request form to the CBC unit via fax. The CBC unit's fax number is 518-549-0464. On this page, you will have to provide an authorized person's email address to move forward in the process. The person completing the web form does not have to be the authorized person themselves. It could be someone who's delegated by the authorized person to submit these forms. However, they will need to use the email address of the provider's authorized person in order to authenticate the online request. In the Requester Email Address field, you will type in the appropriate authorized person's email address and click on the Next button. Upon hitting the Next button, the email address will be validated, and if for whatever reason it's not authenticated, the user will receive an error message. If you do receive an error message, you will have to do the following. First, double check that you have the correct email address and you have not typed it in error. If you are sure that you have the right email address and you haven't made any errors and are still unable to proceed, you will have to contact the Justice Center's CBC unit for additional assistance. The CBC unit can be reached at the following email address: cbc@justicecenter.ny.gov. Once your email address has been authenticated, you will be directed to the next page in the web form process. As you'll see on this screen, the Select Provider chevron is now shaded in. On this page, you will review each provider record that is associated with the authorized person's email address that was previously submitted on the sign-in page. Some email addresses may be authorized for only one provider. However, some authorized persons are associated with more than one provider. In these instances, it is important to carefully review each record listed and select a specific state oversight agency or provider that operates, licenses, and certifies or funds the provider for which you are requesting the SEL check. You will want to review the provider name, provider category, state oversight agency, and provider address information to ensure that this is the correct provider for this SEL request. You can only select one record per request using this web form. If you would like to run a request for multiple provider records, you must submit another web form after you complete the request that you are currently processing. Once you are sure the information is accurate, click the Select Provider button to move to the next page of the web form. The third page of the web form is the Applicant Information page. This page will allow you to enter the information for the job applicant whose SEL status you are inquiring about. Be sure to complete the fields for the applicant's first name, applicant's last name, and if available, the applicant's date of birth. Do not use nicknames or short names for the applicant's name. For example, if you are checking the SEL on a job applicant named Joseph Smith, do not write Joe or Joey in the field applicant's first name field. Also, ensure there are no spaces at the end of each name entered. When entering the applicant's date of birth, you can either type in the date of birth directly, or you can click on the calendar icon to the right of the field and choose the correct date. The applicant's date of birth is not a required field. However, we highly encourage you to include that date of birth in order to improve the accuracy of the search. Once you have completed the applicant's first name, applicant's last name, and applicant's date of birth fields, you will then choose the appropriate unique identifier used. You can select either the applicant's Social Security number or alien registration number. For example, if you select to add the applicant's Social Security number, you will then enter that number in the SSN field, and then enter it a second time in the Confirm SSN field. The Confirm SSN field ensures that you have typed in the Social Security number accurately. If you do not write the same Social Security number in both fields, you will get an error message that appears in red. You'll have to correct the entry to make sure it is accurate. If the Social Security number or alien registration number is not available, you must exit the web form and contact the CBC unit at cbc@justicecenter.ny.gov. Upon completing all the required applicant information, go to the last section on this page and enter in your own information. This will be the first name and last name of the person actually submitting the web form. Once you have completed all that information, you can then click the Next button to proceed. The fourth page of the web form is the Review Submission page. Again, you can see where you are in the process by the highlighted chevron at the top of the page. This page will give you the opportunity to fully review your request before you formally submit it. As you can see, you will be able to review the email address you submitted on the sign-in page, ensuring you chose the correct selected provider. Review the applicant information given and your own user information that was entered. You can update any incorrect information by clicking the Back button to return to the previous pages in the web form and then make the appropriate changes on that page. Once you have verified the accuracy of the submission, you then want to check the box marked "I certify that all information submitted is correct and that I am authorized to submit this inquiry to the New York State Justice Center." Once you have checked that box, you will then be able to click the Confirm Submission button to formally submit your request. Once you click on the Confirm Submission button, you'll be navigated to the final confirmation page and will not be able to go back and edit any information given. Once you have successfully been taken to the confirmation page, we encourage you to print this page for your records by clicking on the Print Confirmation button. Please be sure to make note of the confirmation number provided. This number will be required if and when you contact the Justice Center Criminal Background Check Unit with any questions or concerns. Within 3 business days, an email indicating the applicant's staff exclusion list status will be sent to the authorized person's email address as submitted on the sign-in page. If you have not received an email notification within the 3 business day time frame, we advise you to check the junk email box to ensure the message is not being filtered. Also, be sure that your mailbox is not full and has enough space to receive these notifications. Again, if you have not received the email notification or have any other questions or concerns, please be sure to contact the CBC unit at cbc@justicecenter.ny.gov. Again, be prepared to provide them with the confirmation number. Without this confirmation number, it will be very difficult for the CBC unit to appropriately search for and access the record in question. If you would like to submit an additional SEL inquiry, you can click on the Submit Another SEL Inquiry button to navigate you back to the sign-in page. For more information regarding the Staff Exclusion List web form submission process, you may access the Web Form Job Aid, which further details the submission procedure. This job aid, like the web form itself, can be found on the Justice Center's website at www.justicecenter.ny.gov. Thank you for your participation.